I've built landing pages for digital products more times than I care to admit. Each time, fancy online stores, payment gateways, learning platforms from the Joomla extensions directory, with thousands of features I never used. Sales, 0. The real problem. I was stuck in the cycle of perfection, drowning in the swamps of cruft, building infrastructure instead of validating demand. Now here's what works. Build your content funnel with core Joomla features, nothing fancy. Get it one step shy of a full store. Test it with something simple. See if people actually want it. Then add features if needed. Today we're building the foundation and the visual strategy, category hierarchy, overview pages, and strategic article positioning that trains your visitors subconsciously. In the next episode, we add the access restrictions that enforce what we have built here. 12 minutes, 15 minutes, 18 minutes, not really sure. 4 Joomla features with a little bit of Astroid thrown in for good measure. Let's go. We're going to start by creating a parent category. We navigate to Content, Categories, New. We're going to name our category Games. We're going to set parent to no parent. This becomes your top level container. We save and close. We're going to move our existing categories into the Games parent category using some batch functionality. We select Chess, Mahjong, and Monopoly, and using the checkboxes in front of them, we go to Actions, we select Batch, and we set the parent to Games, and then we click Process. Now let's just verify that our parent-child hierarchy that is working. We're going to look at our category list, and we notice that we now have indentations here on the left-hand side, which of course is a clue to the hierarchy. And going into each category and checking its parent assignment, we can confirm that this structure is correct. You've now created the structure foundation that enables category overview pages and allows visitors to see your entire content landscape at a glance, and gives you control over how content relationships are displayed. Joomla handles the structure, and this is what it is absolutely brilliant at. Now that our category structure exists, we need to make it accessible to our site visitors. This is where a lot of people reach for extensions or custom code, and we're not going to do any of that. Joomla has a built-in menu type that does exactly what we need. It might be a little bit clunky, but it works. We're going to create a new menu item, and we're going to call it Games. So we navigate to Menus, Main Menu, and click New. And we name our new menu item Games. Click to select. We're going to go to the article section. We're going to choose List all categories in an article category tree. The article tree category option shows us the parent description, all of the subcategories with their descriptions, and article counts for each category. It's the complete package without any extensions. Now we want to make sure that we have the tree working, if you will. So in the category selection drop-down, we're going to choose Games, not Root. The Root option would display every category on our site, not just the Games hierarchy. And we really want to nail this structure here. We're going to save our menu item, refresh our front end, and we will now see our subcategories displayed with article counts. Now we're in a little bit of a work in progress state here, so if we bump into a couple of pages not found errors, we're not going to panic. Definitely not yet. We're going to navigate to Content, Categories, Games, and we're going to add the description. Here are all the articles from all categories on the website. Some are free and some require registration. Save and close. Now this text appears above our subcategories, setting visitors' expectations about what they'll find and how to access the content of our site, how the whole site works. Now we're going to up our chess subcategory game here. We're going to go and edit our chess category. We're going to add a text. Articles about chess are here, and free strategies available today. And of course, we can format this text as well. Click CMS Content, go to Media, and we're going to insert an image. I prepared this earlier. It's not a work of art. It's just for demonstration purposes. Save and close. Now it's time to up our Mahjong subcategory description. We're going to add a text. Articles about Mahjong are here, and members only advanced content. We're going to insert an image via the CMS content menu, media, do a little bit of formatting, save and close. And of course, last but by no means least, Monopoly. We're going to add a text. Articles about Monopoly are here, and members only advanced content. Insert an image, do some formatting, save and close. We refresh the front end and we observe the parent description at the top, subcategories with images and descriptions, and article counts for each category. Now, as unspectacular as this might look, it's actually kind of radical. We're using nothing but Joomla's category system to give us a visual context. We're not using extensions. Our template has taken a back seat for the moment, and we're just using strategic descriptions and the media manager to make our page a little bit prettier. This, of course, is our foundation first philosophy in action, building a solid structural groundwork before reaching for complexity. If you've been following along, you know that we have made significant progress. In our very first episode, things looked completely different. If I'm honest, it was a bit of a mess. We started out with a whole lot of elements all over the place, and it felt pretty overwhelming at times. But now, the situation is much more controlled and organized. Getting here wasn't instant. It took patience and steady work, and it meant not reaching for digital duct tape every time we hit a rough patch. Instead, we focused on building a system that actually makes sense and stands up to real use and is pretty much as bulletproof as it gets. So from here on in, we're going to be attempting to tie everything up together. Template variations, article distribution, and blog layout settings to create an environment where everything just makes sense. First, let's set ourselves up for success. We're going to navigate to System, global configuration, articles. We're going to look for the blog featured layouts tab. We're going to change the intro articles default to 12. Now, this gives us headroom, so pagination or pagination, whatever it's called, doesn't break our layouts. We save and close. Remember, we have 8, 10, and again 8 articles in our respective categories. Now, there are many ways to skin a cat here. I'm not presenting this as the definitive method. What I'm interested in is creating a logical progression that works for our funnel. You'll see why this matters when we add restrictions in the next episode. Now, some quick context here. In a previous tutorial, I created template variations for Mahjong and Monopoly. Admittedly, it was a little bit quick and dirty, so that is why before making this tutorial, I couldn't resist tweaking those variations further. The results are what you're about to see. Chess still uses the default template assigned to the rest of the site. And of course, Mahjong and Monopoly use some template variations. We're doing more with less through carefully chosen design decisions. At least that is the theory. Now, before we configure each category's visual layout, you need to understand the mechanics we're working with. Joomla's blog layout system uses 2 article types, leading articles and intro articles. These were designed to create grid displays, multiple columns, varied layouts, the whole 9 yards. Leading articles display full width and prominent. Intro articles can be arranged in columns, and the column setting only applies to intro articles and not to leading articles. And it is precisely this nuance that we'll be using throughout the rest of this tutorial. Flash forward. Here is a visual teaser of where we're going to be going in the next episode in this series, and it is intended to help you to understand why we are doing what we are doing now. We're going to do some radical menu restructuring. We navigate to Menus, Main Menu, and we select the Chess, Mahjong, and Monopoly menu items. We want to make sure that the checkboxes are selected and highlighted in front of them. We go to Actions, Batch, and we're going to move all of these menu items to the Games menu item as its parent, as their parent rather. We're going to click Process. Of course, at this point, it's probably a good time to disable our Start Game separator. Now, refreshing our front end, and we can navigate to Games, and we also have 3 drop-down menus within Games. Games is clickable itself, as opposed to our separator item that we had previously, and we have, of course, the 3 menu items in here: Chess, Mahjong, and Monopoly. Now we're going to configure the Chess category first, or menu item. Now, in Chess, we want to demonstrate using leading articles exclusively, no intro articles at all. We're going to edit the Chess menu item. We're going to navigate to the blog layout tab, and we're going to set the leading articles to 8, and we set the intro articles to 0. Probably a moot point here because we only have 8 articles in this category anyway. Now, here's what this creates. We have all 8 articles and they display full width and prominent. No grid, no columns, just prominent display top to bottom. We see this when we save and refresh the front end. Now we're going to scroll to blog options, and under the Astroid section, we set the lead item image to left, and we save again. Now this time around, refreshing the front end and viewing Chess, we see that all articles appear in that prominent way, and we have the images on the left-hand side, and we obviously, of course, have one single column. Now we're going to look at configuring Mahjong, which is frankly a little bit of a mixed bag. Mahjong demonstrates mixing both article types. Some are leading for prominence, and some are intro articles that we're going to put into a grid display. We're going to edit the Mahjong menu item. We're going to go to the blog layout tab. We're going to set the leading articles to 2 and set the intro articles to 8. Remember, we have a total of 10 articles in this category. And we're going to set the columns to 2. So saving and refreshing the front end, we observe what this creates. The first 2 articles display full width, prominent, leading, and the remaining 8 articles display in a 2-column grid. These, of course, are our intro articles. So we've got 2 different visual treatments in one category. And of course, remember that template variation that I talked about previously. This also helps give this category its own distinct feel. Now we're going to go to the blog options, the Astroid section, and we're going to set the lead item image to a left. And we're going to set the intro item image to right, and we save. We refresh the front end and we view Mahjong. The first 2 articles display prominently with a image, a thumbnail on the left-hand side. The remaining 8 articles display in a 2-column grid with images on the right. So they're split up here. Admittedly, formatting issues with respect to the thumbnails, to the images, but we're going to ignore that for the moment. The idea being here that this variation in the blog layout category page creates visual distinction. Now, what is with this visual distinction thing? I hear you cry. We're building towards a website where we have different access levels, and Mahjong is a particularly nuanced example of this because we're actually going to split this up. So, for example, we're going to have the first 2 articles viewable to non-registered users, and the first 2 articles and the following 8 articles, total of 10 articles, available to registered users. The idea being that when we implement some of these access rules in the next episode, when registered users return after logging in and suddenly see all the content accessible, the layout distinction makes it immediately clear what was previously restricted. That is what we're building towards here. We're building this visual environment first, and we will place the access levels on top of this later. Minor detour, I know. Let's get back on track here. Now, slowly coming full circle here, we're going to look at configuring the Monopoly menu item. Monopoly demonstrates using intro articles exclusively, no leading articles at all. We're going to edit the Monopoly menu item. We're going to go to the blog layouts tab. We're going to set leading articles to 0. We're going to set the intro articles to 8 and set the columns to 2. We have a total of 8 articles in this category, by the way. We save and refresh the front end. So here's what has been created. All 8 articles display in a 2-column grid format. We have no prominent full width articles, just a consistent grid density throughout. We're going to go to the Astroid blog options, and we set the intro image to a right and save. Refreshing the front end, and all 8 Monopoly articles display in that 2-column grid with images on the right-hand side. Admittedly, formatting issues with respect to the thumbnails, to the images, but we're going to ignore that for the moment. And of course, remember that template variation that I talked about previously. This also helps give this category its own distinct feel. Now, to sum up here, I think we've actually got a pretty decent amount of variation using some very simple formatting strategies. We have chess with the full width prominent displayed articles, images on the left hand side. We've got Mahjong with a mixture, we have the prominent articles at the top, 2 of them, with the images on the left hand side. We have a grid below that, divided into 2 columns with images on the right hand side. And of course we have Monopoly with its consistent grid format, with the images arranged in 2 columns on the right hand side. So I think it's fair to say that each one of these categories has a distinct visual character, and this is of course through our article distribution and indeed some template variations thrown in for good measure. Now, it's my hope that this visual distinction is what makes the next episode's access restriction feel logical instead of arbitrary. These layouts are designed to communicate hierarchy before the locks are enforced. In the next episode, we turn a visual distinction into a working funnel. We are adding the locks to match the environment we have just built. That's about it for this time around. We have a complete visual foundation. We've got categories organized into parent-child hierarchy. We've got a menu structure displaying them with article counts. And we've got descriptions adding personality and block layouts thrown in for good measure, creating distinct visual character for each category. Everything is visible right now. Nothing is locked, and that's exactly the point. You need to see these layouts working, understand how the template variations and article distribution create content hierarchy before we add the enforcement. In the next episode, we add the implementation, the access restrictions, and we're going to turn our visual distinction into a working funnel. We're adding the locks that match the environment that we have just built. See you in part 6, where we're going to finish this funnel and who knows, maybe even finish this series. I have 2 other open series that I would like to finish before the end of the year. Somebody's keeping themselves very, very busy these days.